and kind of, you know, get my thoughts back in place. Oh, come on, Zara. Pull yourself together. Oh, man. Wow. Today is not her day.
Today is a day for rolling ones, apparently.
Yeah. Nicholas, help! And that's done, my turn.
Okay. And another one of the flying constructs hovers over the middle of the bridge, and it looks like it's deploying some sort of net-like contraption that is now spreading out as it's stretching out its spindly legs underneath its apparatus. Oh crap.
It's Siegfried's turn.
Sorry, I didn't have...
They're here to save us.
I forgot that it rolls initiative for everyone in the party.
Am I still last again?
Actually no, you're not. But it's not your turn.
It's Brunhild's turn.
It is not Brunhild's turn.
Brunhild, help!
Another one of the spindly flying constructs goes flying over the bridge, and it is also extending some sort of net-like contraption from its legs. It's almost as if its legs are turning into a net. And the same thing seems to be happening with this other one. It seems that more of these constructs get closer to you, like they're pinning you in now, and three of them have, instead of electing to fire these fireballs at you, they're spreading their legs out and they're creating these strange net contraptions. It just seems to be getting wider and wider as it's getting closer. And Nicholas, it is your turn.
Is the elevator in sight at all?
There is a platform ahead of you. You can actually see it on the map, that circular disc. There's a platform there, and there's another one on either side of the bridge. But you are remembering that you heard the audible sound that the elevators were currently out of order.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I'm going to... Is the one flying above me? Right here? Is that one flying above me?
Yep, it's about 20 feet above you right now.
I'm going to take a shot at it with my crossbow.
Okay. It looks like its little tiny little legs underneath it are sort of like manipulating and chittering, almost like a bug, like an insect.
Oh, so it missed.
Yeah, first one missed, unfortunately.
Ah, man, these things are nimble.
And out a crossbow?
Yeah, I gotta pull out some from my bag, honey. And I'm gonna end my turn.
You're gonna stay right where you are?
Yeah.
Okay. Another one of the flying constructs is going to come zipping down the bridge. Its legs also spreading out and creating a net, web-like net that is spreading out. And the one closest to you, other than the one that you just tried to attack, is now floating directly above Zara, and it looks like it's getting ready to drop a net on top of you, Zara. Make a dexterity save.
Ah!
You just managed to dodge out of the way and just sort of
Nimbly hop out of the way.
take your halberd and bat it away from you. The rest of the constructs begin skittering across the bridge, coming towards you now. Nicholas, you watch as another one of the flying ones flies directly above you, not dropping its net yet, but flying directly above you and holding it out like it's getting ready to drop it on top of you. And Zara, it is your turn.
Oh boy. I'm just gonna try to hit the one in front of me with my helmet.
That is a miss. Would you like to use your bonus?
4. Ah, 19 plus something.
That is a hit.
All right,
You
something.
arc your halberd overhand chop and slice it. Slicing into the side of the creature, you see sparks emitting from the side where your halberd stuck into it.
Damn, there's too many of them. Nick, what do we do?
And the one right next to your leg, Zara, is going to hop up and attempt to grab your wrist with its manacle. So I need you to make a strength athletics check against its strength athletics check. It rolled a 17, so you're going to have to beat a 17. That is not going to beat it. One of your hands is currently restrained. This thing is hanging off of your arm. You're like waving it around and it is solid on your wrist.
Let go, get off me.
And then finally, looking out, you see the tall, spindly creation on this chunk of green crystalline platform, and it comes rushing towards you. And out of the mist, as it gets closer to you both, it looks like this. Some sort of clockwork man wearing a wide-brimmed hat. And he points his rapier straight at you, Zara, and gestures. But he doesn't say anything. And as he's holding his wrist out, you can see that something on his wrist is glowing a bright amber color, and it's flashing. And Zara, as you look around, you can see that there are little amber crystals on each of these constructs that are closest to you, and they're all glowing this amber color and flashing in unison with this strange device on his wrist. Is going to attempt to fly directly above you and drop a net on top of you, Nicholas. Make a dexterity saving throw. Unfortunately, that is not enough. You are currently restrained as this net falls directly on top of you. And it seems to be made of some sort of, it's not rope. It almost appears like it's made out of wire.
Nick, what do they want with us? I mean, all I've ever done is I worked for the temple and, I helped raise the fund.
I don't know.
Zara, make another strength athletics check.
I'm strong, right? 17.
What are these other tick-like constructs attempted to jump up and grab your other wrist, and you just managed to move out of the way as it leapt over and then landed about a foot away from where it currently was standing, as it did a little hop. And watch as everyone gets their initiative re-rolled. I'm going to delete all the people that aren't here. And Zara, it's your turn again.
Okay.
You currently have one of these little creatures attached to your wrist.
Can I? Oh, well, I guess I can't use my halberd then.
Sure you can. You just will be rolling at disadvantage.
All right. I'm gonna try to swing at the guy who keeps trying to drop the net on me.
Okay.
Yeah, I know what. Just kidding. I'm gonna keep going for the same guy.
Okay.
Alright, here goes nothing.
Unfortunately, that is a miss. With this spindly construct attached to your wrist, seem to be a little extra weight that you're not used to while swinging your weapon. And you just a few inches, just sort of slice on the side of its carapace.
Come on, Zara, do it!
You're feeling exhausted now, Zara, and a bit deflated as again you swing out with your halberd and you miss again. And I do believe you have exhausted how many times you can do that in one day.
Yay.
Okay, Nicholas, the one that was above you, watching that you're already covered in a net, will now hover and fly over Zara and drop a net on top of her. Make a dexterity saving throw, Zara.
Okay. Here it goes.
Just managed to pull away as the net falls and it lands on your leg, and you're now kicking it off of your leg as it's sticking to your armor plates, and you manage to just kick it off. The one that is on your wrist is now going to attempt to clamp its other hand onto your other wrist. So make a strength athletics check.
Okay.
The second one clamps over your other wrist, and the little construct now transforms into a solid block. And Zara, you immediately fall unconscious.
Aw,
wave
dang
of
it.
energy passes through your body. Nicholas, you watch from underneath this monofilament wire net as Zara seems to go stiff as a board one moment and then falls to the ground.
Shoot, I was gonna say something. I can't do it.
And the moment that happens, all of the drones that were flying forward now stop. And they're floating, hovering in spot. And the creature comes flying forward and lands immediately in front of you and Zara and hops off of its disc and then points its rapier directly at Zara's throat. And you hear this gravelly mechanical voice say, "Give up or she dies."
Can I move around at all? Like can I move my hands around?
You are currently restrained, but you can still manipulate and move things from underneath the net.
I want to turn my head.
Essentially, you can attack with like a disadvantage if you wanted to attack.
No, I'm gonna turn my head away from him and, I guess, stealthily grab lockpicks and put them in my mouth.
Okay. Make a sleight of hand check. With disadvantage because he's staring right at you.
I was trying to do this sooner.
Not a giving pigeon, use 0 point. Oh. Oh wait, that's 0 point.
I'm gonna use a hero point.
Don't forget, the hero point is on your sheet now. You don't have to just roll a random D6.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I got a 3. I got a 5.
Okay, noted. What do you?
And I'm
Is that all you're doing?
Yeah. Alright, I give up.
The spindly construct clockwork man walks up to you and extends a hand down towards you to help you get up.
Can I reach it?
Yep.
I reach it.
You reach for his hand.
Yeah.
He grabs your hand, begins pulling you up, and with his other hand, holding the rapier, clocks you across the head and knocks you out. And you are both unconscious.
So, Linda, have you heard anything at the university about what's been going on?
Well, of course. What do you want to know?
What's causing the problems down in the cog? This strange mist that's always around.
It's very curious. A lot of the wizards and the members of House Larandar, they're quite confused. They say that this mist, it appears unnatural. It's not a natural event. Something is generating it. But thus far, no one knows. There have been inquiries, and many of the scholars here at the university, they've been pouring through the scrolls and books from all over, from as far as Rirdra and Salona. They've not been able to ascertain where it comes from. They just know that it seems to be generated. Something is generating it.
Is there a main location where it's concentrated the most?
Well, it seems to reach all the way up to the upper levels, the upper wards, but does not go beyond that. It does not reach up to the Skyway. And to my knowledge, it has affected Cliffside a bit, but not too much.
So it's more centrally.
How long has the fog been like this?
Seems to be getting worse. It's funny. It actually started not long before you all arrived in the city. But even back then, before you left, last month, it was manageable, and it only seemed to affect the city for a little while, and then it would dissipate. Especially when the rain seemed to dissipate the mist quite a bit. But it hasn't been raining for weeks. It's very strange. Speaking of Cliffside, have you heard about what happened in the harbor?
No, explain.
Apparently a couple of ships got sunk. The Citadel, they've been investigating it.
What kind of ships?
There's a few of the the merchant vessels that bring supplies into the city.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, as far as I know, I haven't read anything in the paper about the Citadel finding out anything. I know that they're still, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think anything was actually taken. I believe they were just sunk, and there weren't any casualties as far as I know. I think everyone was able to make it to shore.
Do you know their captains? Or does anyone know who the captains were?
I don't. I'm so sorry. I think one of them was, if I'm not mistaken, one of them was a goblin. I don't remember his name though.
That's fine. Maybe Rowan. Maybe Vince will know who they were.
Oh, Mr. Trench. Yeah, I haven't seen him in such a long time. It would be lovely to see him again.
Yeah, he's busy doing his own thing.
Well, of course. It's not too far away from the manor, if I'm not mistaken. He stopped in a couple of times to say hello to Renair.
Yeah, there's only a few houses over. It's good to have him nearby. He's always got his ear to the ground.
Indeed.
And have you seen Hewart lately?
I'm sorry?
Have you seen Hewart lately? Hewart?
Oh, the councillor, Harut. No. He's been very busy ever since they elected the new Lord Mayor. He's been spending most of his time in the council. Not been spending that much time in the wards. Byron, now that you're back, and I'm so happy that you are back, but there's something that I've been putting off and not mentioning.
What's that?
I should say, fortunately or unfortunately, fortunately your services will no longer be needed at the bakery.
Oh, what's your mother doing then?
Well, I haven't seen my mother in a while, and she hasn't spoken to me or reached out to me ever since they closed her shop.
I'm so sorry.
There's apparently one of the patrons got sick, violently ill, and died. And she just couldn't take it. Working by herself, I couldn't help her, of course. And when I went there, by the time I had gone there, the bakery was shut down, boarded up. But
Oh, that's disappointing to hear. Well, hopefully nothing bad's happened to her.
I have not seen her. It's been weeks since I've spoken to her.
I'm sure everything will be alright.
I
When
hope.
we get to the end, we can talk even more about. But we need to. Can you talk to the people at the university? See if they can't get someone to. Maybe they got some people that can make it rain for a little bit, so maybe reduce some of the Smiths down, so we can see more of them where it originated.
I believe that a request was made to House Lorandar to summon some sort of a storm. Not by the end of the week, if I'm not mistaken, they were going to try and try their best to abate this mist, because it has been causing a lot of vehicular accidents in the many of the sky coaches. Many people have been seriously injured. Some have even been killed by mid-air collisions. And as she says that, you all finish arcing over and down into the Cliffside District, and you see the familiar sight of Trollskull Alley and the manor proper. And within the courtyard, as the carriage is flying over, you see several pallets outside of the manor, and you see several men milling about. and it seems like they're many of them are pulling tarps over these pallets of supplies. And you see the familiar sight of Renair standing in the midst of them, gesturing and pointing to all the men as they're moving about. And Mr. R yells out, "Troll Skull Alley! We've made it. We've arrived. Welcome home, my friends." And the carriage comes to a stop outside of Troll Skull Alley.
I'll get off. I'll take Linda by the hand, or lead her over to the inn.
I'm gonna find somewhere that has ale.
I think we all need
Siegfried
some.
pats Mr. R on the back and pops.
Hey, why don't we say we meet up in like 30 minutes up in the briefing room?
Okay.
Siegfried's gonna walk up to his room and just plop down and wait for any replies from any of the messages he sent until everyone's ready to talk.
I'm just gonna grab some ale and go on up to the meeting room and wait for everybody.
Get one for me too.
I'm only got 2 hands and I can only carry 4. But yeah, I'll see if I can get another one for you.
You can always grab it out or ask if the spirit isn't busy enough to grab you one, but I mean, she may slap you and I may laugh about it, Siegfried calls as he's walking off.
Nah, I think I can hold one on my pinky. I'll carry you one up there.
I'll help you carry some if you want.
How many do you plan on drinking?
Who knows?
Okay, well, let's just grab as many as we can carry. Between the 2 of us, we should do all right. We can get one down.
And she could also just stay in the, calling back, she could also just stay in the tavern. If they're loading supplies, the tavern may have a fresh tap now.
Yeah, we're going to have to explore it all and see what they do have. Hey, Jeremy, as I'm walking to the end, can I walk by Rainier?
Yes, actually, as you get closer to the courtyard, you see Renair turns and looks in. He smiles as he sees you, and he gives you a salute. And he says, "I had a feeling I was going to be seeing you guys soon. How are you?"
Doing good, my friend. Doing very good. Better now that I'm back, and I'd like to thank you for looking after Linda.
Of course. She's a wonderful person. It was a pleasure to work with her this whole time. She was the one that made the effort and convinced me to pull a few strings with the guilds and set this up for you folks. It's the least I could do, especially after the horrible experience that you went through.
Ah, it was all good. We helped you and saved a friend. So come in and join us for a drink.
Absolutely. I'm afraid that we don't have any hirelings at the moment. We were, of course, waiting for you all to return because ultimately this is yours. This is your place. And it is up to you. I will say that we have had some inquiries since the manor has been restored. We're nearly finished. There was a few things that I wanted to go over with you before the workers were complete 100%.
Well, that sounds good. Maybe we'll do that kind of business first, and then we'll have that drink first.
Well, I'm a bit parched. I could go for a nice stiff drink right now. I'm sure Liv would be more than happy to set up some glasses.
So we'll go in and we'll sit down at a table down at the bar.
Okay.
Have a couple drinks.
As you head into the inn proper, you see that gone are the dusty cobwebs, the broken furniture. Gone is the disgusting filth, the inches of dust built up, and all you see is the warm, inviting hearth at the end of the room, the bar, which is polished and shining and gleaming, the chairs gilded with thick crimson cushions, and you see several tankards that have been set up on the bar, and you can see a disembodied tankard is now floating across the bar towards one of the large casks of ale behind, and is currently filling and then slowly moving its way without spilling onto the counter and plopping onto the counter. Rainier heads in behind you and
Just have some light conversation and
he
see what he has to say.
slides into a seat before you and he says, he's got an expectant smile on his face as he sits and has a drink, and he holds it up and he holds a toast. To my good friends, we were well met at the warehouse. We are well met even still. Welcome home.
Thank you. Good friendship.
Indeed. I'm sure that you have a bevy of questions, and I will attempt to answer them as best I can.
Well, I don't have too many really, because it'd be well overloading. I got all the information at once, but how's Trollskull Alley and how's the area being affected by the mists or anything?
Yeah, that's a strange. I'm sure you've heard all about that. This mysterious fog that, strangely enough, does not appear to be coming off of the river. I'm not sure where it just seems to emanate from the city itself. It's the strangest thing.
And Jeremy, question.
Yes, sir.
The mist, does it reach all the way out here to Trollskull Alley to the manor itself, or is it not touching?
It seems to waft off of the outer walls of the city, and it kind of it sort of rolls over in the atmosphere above cliffside a bit, but it doesn't stretch out towards the river.
Okay, so we're pretty safe right on this.
Yeah, the mist doesn't appear to be affecting cliffside at the moment.
I'm sure you have questions for us as well, but I have things that we must do later on. So after 30 minutes or so, just light conversation, I'll head up to the briefing.
Okay. Do you dismiss Rainier, or do you invite him up to the briefing room?
Sometime in the walking over to the bar to pick up another drink or whatnot, I'll call up to Sam and say, "Do you want Rainier up there, or you just want it to be us?"
Rainier, that's that guy that helped us out in the sewers, right?
Yeah, he's the noble. Yeah.
Yeah, bring him up.
All right, and I'll invite Rainier to come up.
Okay. As you all begin piling into the room, there is a person seated at the table.
It's
Someone that you have never met before. And for all of you that were already in the room, you don't take notice to this person seated at the end of the table until the rest of you are in the chamber.
Yeah, I'm sitting at the table and don't even know they're there.
Yeah, it's almost as if like someone parted a curtain in reality and this person is just sitting there. And he is holding a very familiar white cat in his lap.
They're evil.
Do what?
Dr. Evil.
He is he is holding Philippa, the cat from Ooze's bookstore, in his lap.
Is he supposed to be up here?
Of course I'm supposed to be up here. Why wouldn't I? What are you looking at?
I think
Hey, who
he
are
was
you?
Talking about him.
Where did you come from?
As Rainier enters the chamber with the rest of you, he says, "Oh, gosh, where are my manners? This is Quimnus." And as you
What?
look, you see a man. He called him Quimnus. You see an elven man with golden skin, and he has a wreath of brambles in his hair, and he's wearing vestments of what is clearly of a druid. And you can see that there's a bit of a gnarled staff leaning against the wall behind him. And looking on him, his eyes have a silvery color to them. Like, just looking around the room, it's almost like the eye shine of a creature when you shine a flashlight in their eyes at night. And this eye shine just doesn't seem to go away, no matter how he turns his head or looks. And he has sort of a passive and stoic look on his face. Sort of grim. And he looses the cat, who begins striding down the middle of the table and walking, and then sits down and promptly sits in the middle of the table and starts licking its paw.
I'm going to slide one of my L's towards him.
The cat reaches out its paw and begins scooping ale into its mouth.
Oh, the cat caught it. Wow.
The man looks at all of you and doesn't say anything, just looks at each one of you intently.
I'm going to lean over towards Siegfried and say, I think the elf is the cat's familiar.
That's what I'm thinking too.
So, what's good?
Rainier turns and looks at you all. He says, everything's good now that you're all here. If it weren't for Quibnus, we wouldn't have even known where to look for you, where to expect you.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to understand exactly what that means or who he is, so would you care to explain all that to me?
I'm confused. I was under the impression that you already all knew Quibnus.
No.
And you hear a sound of a breathy but firm voice, male but somewhat effeminate, speaks from behind the table, and the sound fills the chamber. It says, "Oh, they haven't met me yet. It's not time. We'll meet later."
We just met.
"Oh no. This is not the first time."
You are not making any sense right now. So I'm going to politely ask you to please make sense and tell us what's good.
"I represent the gatekeepers, Samael the Reaper.
Aren't they the bad guys or the good guys?
They are the reason why you still draw breath, all of you. We are the reason why the Darkir Lords weren't able to reign over this land and destroy everything and turn everything into aberration."
Okay, the good guys, got you.
Good and evil are subjective. It's all about your point of view.
You know, I keep hearing that lately.
You told me that yourself, Samael, on your deathbed. And that's where we're going to end the session for tonight.
Nice.
Visions in your head are cloudy. Nicholas, you can hear a faint sound of what sounds like a fireplace crackling. And you can hear a din of people talking and speaking in low, hushed tones. And your whole body feels numb. And you begin to open your eyes. When you do, you feel as though there's something over your face. And you can see light through a bit of cloth that is covering your eyes. And light and shadows are hitting your face. And you feel as though you're upright, reclined in a seat. And the seat is comfortable. As the numbness is fading from your body, you can feel the softness of this upholstered chair that you're sitting in. Your hands and your legs, you can feel, are unmoving, as if they are restrained. Zara, as you are becoming conscious, you also hear the sound of a crackling fire. You hear the sound of the din around you. And you hear the sound of a woman speaking. And it's a muffled sound. It's sort of like a... And the numbness that was in your body seems to be fading now. And you also feel as though your wrists and your hands and your legs are restrained.
And I have something over my face.
You do. You can see light and shadow as you open your eyes. Your vision is completely blocked. And you hear the sounds of low hush speaking from around you, from behind you to the sides and in front of you.
I try to bite the thing that's on my face and try to get it off.
Okay. You get a mouthful of a slippery cloth. And it tastes terrible. It tastes like dust and oil.
Is my lockpick still in my mouth? I'm gonna move my tongue around and see.
It is still in there.
I can't see a thing with the cloth on.
Correct. You can't see anything with the cloth on except for shadow and light. There is light streaming towards you, straight towards you, but there are also shadows dispersed amongst the light, this filtered light.
I'm gonna move my hands a little bit, and they definitely restrained.
They are 100% restrained.
What do you want with me?
When you yell that out, you hear this muffled voice say,
"Oh, that sounds like a retail."
and again, you can feel a thrumming in your head, this horrible headache. Your head is just pounding right now, and you feel like the cloth is also covering your ears, which is making it difficult to hear.
I can't hear you. What do you want with me?
And then you feel a gloved hand smack you in the side of your head. And a voice that is closer now that says, "Shut up, you." And then
Fuck you too.
You hear another voice say,
Go ahead and take off. Take it off now.
I want to see their faces. And one by one, you each have your bonds. Your bonds are still on your wrists and your legs. You feel that. But you can feel the bit of material that's over your heads is now getting loosened and being pulled off. And there's momentarily the light is too bright from a window that is streaming light in from across you. And I've got another map to share with you. This will be interesting.
This feels like part of a book that I wrote. Like, legit. I'll have to show you that sometime, Jeremy.
I look forward to it. Let's see. Roll a d20, Nicholas. Let's find out which chair you're sitting in.
Between this, Zara is also like, Nick, are you there? Nick?
Now let me take this unconscious effect off of you, Zara. There you go. And let me share with you a map. There we go. You both see a woman wearing crimson garments, seated in a purple overstuffed chair. She's wearing vestments and iconography that doesn't seem familiar to either one of you. Her hair is white and cascading downwards on either side of her face, and she has some markings under her eyes of very bright violet makeup. And she's just sort of sitting in the chair regarding both of you with a bit of a sly smile on her face. I would have thought it would have been a bit more difficult acquiring you. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the amount of money that I paid. Greetings and welcome. I'm sure you both have questions.
And Zara can see now.
Zara, you can now see this woman seated before you in this plush chair with two guards flanking her on either side. You're at a warm lit chamber, sconces behind them, a window streaming light just over the top of the chair, the light that was blinding at first as your eyes begin to adjust.
Where are we? Who are you? What do you want with me?
What do I want? That is simple, love. I want to see you squirming, uncomfortable. I want to see you hurting. Maybe not physically, but definitely mentally. And I want you to know that it is all the fault of the one sitting next to you right now.
Zara looks over at Nick and she's like,
Nick doesn't say anything. Do I recognize her?
She is definitely of an elven descent, you can tell. She's very slender. But her facial features are not familiar to you. And the hair is definitely not familiar. And she's wearing this strange hat. It's sort of poofy and has what looks like a dragon stone or dragon shard set in the center of a little curio cartouche in the center. And it flashes in the light from the fireplace.
Nick's gonna stay quiet.
Well, come now. After all that you've been through, the great Nicholas Ditherani, cat got your tongue? I've never known you to be quiet, or to not speak up. Definitely when you had an opinion on something. Sitting now before me, after you've been on your long adventures, and you can't put the pieces together. I'm disappointed in you, Nick. She then stares at you, but she's not unsmiling. She's got a warm grin spread across her face. And her lips part momentarily, and like she's going to say something else. And then she turns her attention back to you, Zara. And you. I'm curious. I spent a lot of coin and waited a great deal of time for this moment. Who are you, woman? I know your name, of course, and I know your surname is the surname that Nicholas gave you. But who are you really?
I'm a simple healer. What do you want with me?
You know what I want. I've told you as much. But I want to know who you are. You have a look about you that appears elven, but it's muddled. Your bloodline is muddy, isn't it? Isn't it?
Not any more than I know.
She has a little bit of a lilted high laugh, and the guards that are standing at attention are completely 100% staring straight ahead. They're not looking at either one of you. Their weapons are at their sides, and they're just standing like statues. The woman shifts in the chair a little bit and leans forward and says, "You're a Koravar, are you not?" "A half-breed."
Sure, what of it?
"Then what are you doing with an elf from House Therani?" "What are you doing with an agent of the Shadow Network?" "And more importantly, what are you doing sharing his last name?"
I have elf in me.
"You're not one of his kin. High Hill is certainly not his surname. Yet you're sharing this name. Are you traveling together? Is he traveling with you? You're against his nature? What are you to him?"
I'm a good friend. She just looks at the woman with like a smirk.
Make a deception check.
Deception. And
Okay.
me.
She looks at you, and she just sort of closes her eyes for a moment, a smile on her face getting wider, and she just sort of laughs. "Oh, this is delicious, Nicholas. You are in so much trouble. You do know, love, that it is against the law for him to marry a Koravar?"
I'm gonna look at her and say, "You also know it's against the law to bound an inquisitor?"
You're not an Inquisitor anymore, Nicholas Ditherani. You were excoriated from the Citadel. I signed it myself when you failed to report. After you came back to the city, came bounding into the offices, flipped out your badge, and asked for it to be reinstated. Of course, I obliged Barnabas. Barnabas likes you, and I allowed him to give you a few assignments off of his backlog. And then you go and you disappear. And you re-emerge nearly a month later, like it was nothing. You were spotted. You were followed. It was a devil of a time tracking you down until you set foot over in Solverin Towers, and my agent saw you. Clever little things, these nimble rights. Useful. Many of the nobles have been using them. I hired one specially to track down Miss Zara here. Nicholas, as you are looking around the room, you are realizing that the room that you're in is very familiar. Recalling in your memory from years ago, you remember the last time you were in this room, and you are recognizing that this is, in fact, the office of the High Inquisitor. But this person seated before you is not the High Inquisitor that you remember. The previous High Inquisitor was a man.
So, who are you?
Who am I? Who am I? This is such a delicious question. I was, for a while, briefly, your employer. I was a few other things to you as well, in another lifetime. And she begins reaching up to her head and putting her hands, gentle, lithe hands on each side of the hat. She begins pulling it up off of her head. And as she does, her features, her facial features shift. The makeup now goes away. The white, silver hair changes to short brown. Her elven features stay the same, but the skin goes a bit lighter. And she places the hat on the table before her. And seated before you, Nicholas, behind the desk of the High Inquisitor, is a person that you have not seen in a long time. Not since the Shadow Schism. Seated before you, you see your former lover, Vivette de Fjarlin. And that's where we're going to end the session for tonight.
What? Oh,
He's dead.
Dun dun dun.